Good morning, first period. How was your weekend? Did you do something fun, interesting, exciting? Remember, I'm not there today because I am in Chicago. Today, you guys should have already watched the video that has the last two slides of notes for Chapter 5. So this video is going through the last three columns for your production schedule. So what I need you to do is get out your production schedule, and then if you have not already gotten a calculator from the box of calculators that it should be sitting on my desk, go do that. So sub can go and pause the video right now. You guys can get that stuff ready and then we'll get going. All right, so we are going to add the the last three columns here. So the first column we're going to be adding, I'm actually going to make this a better color, is total revenue. So this is, remember, total revenue we talked about when we talked about demand. You also saw total revenue when you were looking at the notes. But total revenue, remember, is how much you totally spend on a product at a particular price. Okay, so at the bottom, I want you to add an equation. So total revenue, I'm going to actually make this bigger so you guys can see this a little bit better because I know the video is small. So total revenue is going to be price times total product. So total revenue is price times total product. Now, I want you to put an asterisk next to the price. Okay, so as an asterisk, remind yourself, Mrs. Stout will always give the price. Okay, so I will always give the price. I'm going to have you guys work on a worksheet practicing this entire thing at the end of the period, and I will have the price at the top, and it'll say at the very top when the price is whatever. For this particular scenario, based off from your guys's how many airplanes you actually made last week, as well as our costs, I was looking at this, and what we have to do for our price is we have to make our price in this situation. Our price is going to be 67 cents. I know that's an odd number, but you'll understand why. Okay, so the price is 67 cents. So all we're doing is we're taking 67 cents multiplied by the total product. So we're actually going to take 67 cents multiplied by this column right here. Okay, that's going to be our total revenue. So I'm trying to put this all in one screen here so you can see. So at 0 workers, okay, so at 0 workers, we are going to be looking at how much we would get from selling our airplanes. Now at 0 workers, obviously we had 0 total products. We had nobody working. So as a result, our total revenue is going to be, yes, you guessed it, 0. And for some reason, my sizing is really weird on here. Okay, 0. Then for 1 worker, we're taking, remember the price is 67 cents times 2. So 67 cents times 2. If you put that into your calculator, you should get $1.34. Okay, then we're taking 67 cents times 5. Okay, so 67 cents times 5 is $3.35. Okay, then we're going to take 67 cents times 3. So at 67 cents times 3, you will get 603. Okay, so you should go down and multiply 67 cents times your total product. So do that right now. So I'll have the sub pause the video again. Okay, so pause the video and take 67 cents times your total product. Okay, when the video starts up again, you will have all the answers filled in for you. So here are all of your answers for total revenue. So we stopped at 3 workers. So 4 workers, you should have $10.05. 5 workers, you should have $14.74. 6 workers, $21.44. 7 workers, $30.82. 8 workers, $37.52. 9 workers, $43.55. 10 workers, $46.90. 11 workers, $48.91. And 12 workers, $45.56. All right, now, next column that we're going to be doing today is called marginal revenue. So remember, marginal revenue is going to be basically how much more are we going to make from selling one more product. Now think about that. How much more money would I take in from selling one more airplane? Well, if the price of airplanes that I said was 67 cents, okay, marginal revenue is simply equal to the price. So under your equations down here, you can include marginal revenue is equal to the price of the product. So the only difference is just like our other marginal columns, marginal product and marginal cost, okay, you can't do marginal revenue at 0 workers and you can't do marginal revenue at 12 workers. The reason being is that marginal revenue at 0 workers, we didn't add anybody, we didn't change anything. Marginal revenue at 12 workers, we have a negative marginal product. Okay, so the rest of them, you can fill in 67 cents, if I can type it correctly, and go all the way down. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. So 67 cents all the way down, so it doesn't matter how many workers we have. All of our airplanes cost 67 cents. So now I have that filled in. All right, last column is going to be profit or loss. So are we making money or are we losing money? So if you think about this, to figure out if we're making money or losing money, we have to look at how many we totally took in from selling our airplanes, obviously hypothetically, and how much it costs us totally to make our airplanes. Okay, so profit or loss, the column, the equation at the bottom, you can put in is P or L, so profit or loss, is equal to the total revenue, because that's how much we totally get take in from selling our airplanes, minus the total cost. So profit or loss is total revenue minus total costs. So we're going to be looking at this column right here. I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to actually highlight that. Okay. And we're also going to be looking at this column right here. Okay, so I'm going to highlight them. I know that can't highlight them, but I'm going to highlight them to remind us these are the two columns we're looking at. So try to block out everything else. So what we're doing here is that at 0 workers, we're subtracting total revenue, which at 0 workers was 0 because we didn't have anything to sell. But we're subtracting total cost of $12. Well, how do we have a $12 cost even though we didn't sell anything? Remember, we had fixed costs still. So 0 minus 12 will give us a loss of $12. And for some reason, my numbers are very small. Okay. Now we're getting into actually selling stuff. So at 1 worker, our total revenue was $1.35, and we have to subtract minus $14. So again, this is a loss of $12.66. Now at 2 workers, we're going to take $3.35 minus $16, and again, obviously it's a loss. It's going to be a loss of $12.65. Okay. At 3 workers, we're going to subtract $6.03 minus $18. So again, you're going to have a loss, in this case of $11.97. All right, so pause the video again, take your calculator, go through the rest of these. Total revenue minus total costs. When you restart the video, the rest of it will be filled in and we'll finish the last little part of this. So now we should have the profit or loss column finished. So we last left off with 3 workers. So let's look at 4 workers. Your 4 workers, you'd have a loss of $9.95. At 5 workers, you should have a loss of $7.26. At 6 workers, you should have a loss of $2.56. At 7 workers, you should all of a sudden be making money. Woohoo! $4.82. At 8 workers, you have a profit of $9.52. At 9 workers, you have a profit of $13.55. At 10 workers, you have a profit of $14.90. At 11 workers, you have a profit of $14.91. And at 12 workers, you have a profit of $9.56. Now, somebody may ask, okay, why do we have to figure it out for the last one? Because keep in mind that we do figure out profit or loss for the 12 workers because we still have revenue and costs. Yes, I know that your marginal costs and your marginal revenue, you can't do them, but you can figure out profit or loss. All right, so now that we have this whole entire thing completed, what's the point? Why did we do this whole thing? Remember last week when we started this, we talked about the idea of a short run, right? And we talked about that in the short run, the only thing that can be changed in the short run is the input labor. And so we were ultimately looking at whether or not it was worth it to hire all of these people. How many workers should we actually hire? Well, in your notes, the last slide was talking about 2 points you can determine from this entire thing. So the 2 points you can determine are the break-even point and the profit maximizing point. So the break-even point is going to be where the total revenue and total costs are equal. Okay, total revenue and total costs are equal. So theoretically, in the profit or loss column, you should, if they are exactly equal, you should have a point where it says exactly 0. Because if total revenue and total costs are equal, when you say total revenue minus total costs, it should equal to 0. Now, most of the time, you will not find a point where they're exactly equal. So what you need to look for is this point right here, where it goes from a negative to a positive number. Okay, and I want you to put a little bracket over here. I'm having a hard time being able to do this on my computer, but I want you to put a bracket over there, and I'm going to put this in red. This is going to be our, I'm going to insert a, okay? So our break-even point is going to be where our total, our profit or loss column goes from a negative number to a positive number. Somewhere in between there, we have 6 and 7 workers. So between 6 and 7 workers, somewhere in there, we have our total revenue and total cost are equal. So somebody always asks, okay, how can I have 6.5 workers? Well, think about it. I always have the joke of somebody saying, what about a midget? No. Okay, 6.5 workers. How can you have 6.5 workers? You can have part-time workers. That's counted as quote unquote a half of a worker. Okay, so that's one thing that you can determine. So the break-even point is between 6 and 7 workers because it goes from a loss to a profit. The other point that you can tell is going to be the profit maximizing point. And the profit maximizing point is going to be where the profit is the highest and where marginal cost and marginal revenue are the same. So now, obviously, in this case, we do have at 11 workers where we have the highest profit, $14.91. So I'm going to make that blue, okay? But also notice that our marginal cost is 67 cents and our marginal revenue is 67 cents. Okay, that is what makes this our profit maximizing point. So I'm going to insert another comment here. This is going to be our profit maximizing point. The biggest thing that I have to tell you about this is that I have a lot of people that will just look for wherever the profit is the highest. And sometimes you'll have 2 points that are exactly the same, where, for example, this is $14.91 and this is $14.91. And the reason we have to look for where marginal cost and marginal revenue is the same, so it's always going to be where that is the same, is because if you think about it, it's not really costing us any more extra, and it's not costing me any more to hire that 11th worker, okay? Because it equals out in the end as far as how much revenue they made. So remember, this is in the short run. So if you hire them now, in the long run, when you want to expand, that person is already there, they're already trained, they already know what they're doing. So the profit maximizing point actually answers our ultimate question. This is how many workers we should actually hire. So do me a favor, highlight, circle, whatever, that 11th worker. That's how many people we should hire because our marginal cost and our marginal revenue are the same and our profit is the highest. All right, that's it for the production function, production schedule. You will be getting from the sub an example with this where you're going to have to fill in things. Remember, work together, use your calculator, Tomorrow in class, I will give you the answer key for it, and I will also ask if you have any questions. Thanks.